Welcome to the Medal of Honor Center here in Chattanooga, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invitation.
Yes, Coffee with June.
Except I'm a hot chocolate guy, so
Okay, go for it.
that's what they put in here. Don't tell anybody. Hot chocolate with June, but that doesn't have the same ring.
You know, everyone I've talked to either knows you or they've heard about you. But what I wanted to say, for those that have just heard about you, I don't really know you. For you people, I want to say this man has more awards and honors than can fill a whole section of, of Google search. He has held positions in leadership at museums like Hayden Planetarium. He's headed up universities like and worked at Princeton.
I worked at Princeton.
And University
I never
of
headed up a
Maryland.
university, but I worked at universities. Yeah.
Okay,
I taught
okay.
in multiple universities. Yeah.
He was appointed by President Bush to serve on the Moon, Mars, and Beyond Commission
Yeah.
for NASA.
That was George W. Bush. Yeah, for NASA.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's an astrophysicist. His research has focused on star formation, on the evolution of stars, and out there in the galaxy and beyond.
Yes. Yes.
But he's a star himself. Some of you, especially the younger people that really, really follow you, they've seen you as the host on Nova, on Cosmos, on Star Talk. Oh, all of my grandkids talk about Star Talk.
Oh, okay.
And they all love you. In fact, now you
my
can
podcast,
see,
Star Talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
you can see that he lights up a room with energy when he joins us. So here we go. I have a few questions for you.
Bring it on. I got you. I'm ready for
okay.
Yes.
I first knew about you in 1986 after the Challenger accident. My husband and that wonderful crew of 7 people were on board. You wrote a poem, Ode to Challenger, and sent it to the families. What a big heart that was, 1986.
It was, we all tried to come to terms with it in whatever way. I'm getting a little emotional even thinking about it. At the time, I was writing quite a bit. I was writing material that would ultimately become my first book. But when you were in a writing mode, then you write because you can't not write, right? And the words flow. And so I wrote, I'm not a poet, so I don't want to call it a poem because that would insult real poets. But it was an ode. It was an ode to Challenger. And it was a little forced in the sense that I made sure to use the names of all the existing space shuttles.
You did.
In the running text, not as an explicit call out of them, but many of the names for the space shuttles were words that, of course, they were all named after actual ships, actual seagoing vessels, but they're also words. So Atlantis, I referenced the Atlantic Ocean in it. And so it was, now I think it was one of my early odes. I've written a few odes since then, but and everyone's name is in it. So that was my way of sort of reconciling my emotions with my ability to write. And so I'm delighted that it could have the reception that it did.
Well, all the spouses of that Challenger crew appreciated it. And, the teacher, Krista McAuliffe, was on board.
Yes.
We're well represented by teachers here today. She and her husband she was a dear friend, and now her husband is a dear friend.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for that.
Sure.
Let's go back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, when you were like 5 or 6 years old, you can go back that far, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Before you get there, I want to put in a cheap plug. In one of my books, it's called Letters from an Astrophysicist.
Okay.
I think I put in that book that full ode because it's otherwise not widely published.
2012.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar.
Okay. So, yeah, letters from an astrophysical. It was an occasion to just put it into print for others to see,
Yes.
not just the family. So
Yeah. Oh,
that's my cheap plug.
yeah, no,
I
thank you for
that.
thank you for letting us
Yeah.
reminding us all that. Well, I was asking about when you were 5 or 6. I was wondering if you were curious or if you had a great imagination. I mean, like, did you play like you were Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, or anything like that?
Yeah, I was not one of those kids. Okay, I'd visit other families' kids, and they'd be playing with toy soldiers and things. Or back then, you played with soldiers, right? It was not the boys played with soldiers, and the girls played with
Dolls.
the dolls, right? And so I didn't have that imagination. It was because I had a deep appreciation for real things. So if there's a doll, that's a doll. Okay, that's not like a real thing that you're going to pretend it's real. So that I would say that was a shortcoming of my childhood because it meant I could not explore the space of imagination the way some of my fellow playmates did. But by the age of 9, oh, by the way, yes, I was curious like any kid. All children are curious. We know this. As parents, you know it as teachers. And it's just a matter of, can you nurture that curiosity? Or rather, let me say it more strongly, try to not squash it. As parents, look at what we do to constrain the freedoms of children running up and down the house. I'll give a perfect example. You know, where do you store all your heavy pots and pans? Well, they're going to be on the bottom cabinets because you don't want to lift them from high up. Well, a bottom cabinet is eye level to a 3-year-old. So they open it up and they pull out the pots and they find a spoon and they start banging on they've done this, okay? They start banging on the pots. And what's the first thing you say as a parent? Stop doing that. You're getting the pots dirty because they're sitting on the ground and you're making a racket. By constraining that activity, you have disrupted an experiment in acoustics that they were performing. Mm-hmm. Just so that you don't have a dirty kitchen. And in another example, let's say there's an egg sitting up on the counter. You're ready to make an omelet. But what does an egg cost today? I don't know. Whatever it costs, that won't matter terribly for this example. And your 3-year-old can just barely reach it and they want to take it. And what are you going to say? No, don't do that because it's going to break. Of course it's going to break, but look what you're disrupting. If the kids stole the egg and they start playing with it, you know it's going to break. Well, that's interesting. An egg is hard yet fragile. There aren't many hard, fragile things in the world. Most things that are hard are durable. An egg is hard yet fragile. That's an interesting bit of materials science there. Then it cracks open. There's like the yellow and the albumin, I think that's what the people call it, the biologists call it. And you get to tell the kid, that might have been a chicken. That'll freak them out. And then show them a picture of a chicken coming out of an egg. Okay? And then, wait, I'm not done. And then you take the gooey white part and then you heat it and it turns solid. Wait a minute, most things you heat will melt. Chocolate, ice, this turns solid. And it goes from transparent to pure white. These are all displays of science and nature at work. And you said no because you didn't want to, quote, waste an egg. Ask yourself, what is the value of that education relative to whatever you paid for that egg? The president of Harvard famously once said, when people were complaining of the cost of tuition, he said, if you think the cost of education is high, try the cost of ignorance, because that's even higher. So, yeah, I was curious, like any other kid, and I had a certain level of free-range access to messing up the house as you conduct kid experiments. But it wasn't until I was 9 where I discovered the universe, or rather, the universe discovered me.
So that was a turning point when you were 9 years old?
9 years old, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, first visit to my local planetarium, the Hayden Planetarium.
In New York City.
In New York City, where I now serve as director. So that story plays well in a small town. New York, no one cares. I say that, I'm now director of this play. Yeah, and what's your point? Somehow nobody is impressed by that in New York. But I was influenced by, I remember going in and you sit down and you look up and the stars came out, countless thousands of stars. And I thought it was a hoax.
Yeah.
This can't be real. I know what the night sky looks like. There's 4 stars in it, and I've seen it from the Bronx, where I grew up. So as a city kid, none of us have a relationship with the sky at all. So New Yorkers simply don't have a relationship with the night sky.
Mm-hmm.
When you look up, there's a building, and you look up higher, it's still that same building. And then there's like light pollution, and back then, when I was growing up, there was a lot of air pollution. All of these obstacles to your access to the universe. So visiting a planetarium was magical because first it wasn't even real to me. It was some hoax. And then I would later learn, when we went out to the countryside of Pennsylvania on a trip, and I looked up at night, like, whoa. So to this day, this is how to tell you how bad this is. To this day, when I look up at the authentic night sky, I say to myself, that's so beautiful. It reminds me of the Hayden Planetarium. That's embarrassing, but it's true. That's how I feel. That's how imprinted I was. So that day I was starstruck. And I think the universe called to me and I answered. It would take 2 years before I would know that you can make a career of that. So by age 11, if you asked me that question, that annoying question that adults always ask kids, which is what? What's the question? The annoying question.
When you grow up, what are you going to be?
What do you want to be when you grow up? And I would say astrophysicist.
Okay.
And then that kind of stopped the conversation. You know, if you say I want to be an engineer, oh, Aunt Matilda's an engineer or Uncle Joe's a lawyer. And nobody knew anybody who was an astrophysicist. So that conversation ended quickly. But I've been on that sort of personal mission since then. Yeah.
So that was a turning point for you to visit the Hayden Planetarium.
I would say
See those
unmistakably, being starstruck.
Yeah.
A turning point implies that I was turning, but I don't know that I turned. It just came upon me. So it was a launch point.
At launch point.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
It was a launch point for me,
So,
not a turning point.
so for teenagers, it's often turbulent years.
Oh, yeah.
What would you, if you could, go back and talk to Neil deGrasse Tyson when he was a teenager? What would you say now, knowing what you know?
I have an unorthodox reply to that. Okay. If in life you make sure you don't make the same mistake twice, there's nothing I would tell my younger self. Because the premise of that very question is you made a mistake and you want to be alerted of it so that you don't make that mistake. But you realize recovering from a mistake, there's nothing more potent as a force on who and what you become than figuring out how to overcome your mistakes.
Yeah.
Almost any successful person you've ever met, if you say, tell us about your mistakes, they will sit there for 3 days telling you about their mistakes. So what distinguishes them is what they did to overcome it. And that can be character building. It can boost your problem solving abilities. So no, there's nothing I would tell my younger self at all. Yeah.
Well, for my younger self, grandchildren, one of them said that you had show so much wisdom and energy on the Startup programs, and that they wanted me to thank you that your program allows them to understand the physics of astrophysicists, but that it's not so boring for a person that's more familiar with the topic. Oh. How do you do both?
Thank you for noticing that. Whoever, was that one of your grandkids?
Christy.
Chris, okay, good. How many grandkids you have?
9.
9
Let's go.
9 grandkids. Wow.
9 questions.
Wow. 9-time grandma. Okay. So, Thanks for noticing that,
Yeah.
because that is a very purposeful exercise as an educator, how to do that.
Yeah.
And so first and foremost, I will never talk down, or the equivalent of that for someone who doesn't think they're talking down is to dumb down the content, because people know when you're dumbing it down. And I think the people who dumb it down have not thought deeply enough about it to figure out how to still talk about it without dumbing it down. That's extra effort.
Yes.
You should respect the intellect of the person who's giving you their time. So give them interesting things that challenge them, not candy-coated explanations on the expectation that they would never understand it without it.
No.
So that's the first point. Now, so the real astrophysics comes across the table. And now the secret sauce is my co-host is a professional stand-up comedian. And he's smart and he's scientifically literate. So he's not the kind of comedian that'll just, have you heard the one about the, no, it's not the one-off, one-liners. No, he will see the conversation, check for, is there a humorous observation that can be made based on the information that came across the table? Yeah. He'll make that observation, and 8 times out of 10, it's hilarious. The other 2 times out of 10, it makes you smile. And all of a sudden, whatever was the complexity of the content, he has actually reinterpreted it in a comedic way so that the high-level stuff is still there, but the medium and lower level stuff, you get access to it because he plays the role of the every person, in the audience. Okay. And while that's swirling, I'll have an expert guest as well. I control 2 knobs. The expert guest as the source of gravity in the conversation, and the comedian, the source of levity. And these 2 knobs I adjust so that I have the proper balance between the 2, so we have a consistent product going out. And that's what's behind being able to hit high, medium, and low levels of content without anyone, not even the high-level people, complaining, nor the lower-level people. I really appreciated that question.
I think that people are often asked about, did you have a role model? Are you a role model? I think you must be an intellectual role model for a lot of people.
So first, thanks for reinterpreting the concept of a role model. And what I mean by that is, because I've been asked, did I have role models when I was a kid? And the answer is no, not really. Or rather, there was an educator, by the way, at the Hayden Planetarium when I was a kid. When he would teach a subject, he would infuse it with stories. It was captivating. I never wanted him to stop talking. And I said, if I'm ever an educator, I want to influence my audience the way he's influencing me. Mm-hmm. So that's a role model. I don't want to be him. I just wanted to have that property, that capacity to engage an audience. There was a scientist at the planetarium, an astrophysicist, and he knew so much about the universe. It was inconceivable to me. Not realizing that I'm 14, I've been on the Earth for that many years, and he spent his life studying a field. It still felt out of reach to me, but I said to myself, if I'm ever an astrophysicist, I want command of the science that he has. I didn't want to be him. Yeah. I wanted to be myself. And there were, of course, I had a sports role models. There was a baseball player who had batted for very high average, hit a lot of home runs. I'm born in the Bronx, so clearly I'm a
Dodgers.
No, Yankees fan. Dodgers are from Brooklyn, then LA via Brooklyn. So I had baseball role model, but I want to be them, because if you want to be the person, that's kind of, think about it. I'm growing up. Normally a role model is someone that kind of looks like you or sounds like you and been down the road that you're about to traverse. So I would have had to have found a black person from the Bronx in the 1960s, early 70s, who became an astrophysicist so that I would follow that as a role model. That's crazy. No. In fact, if you take role models seriously, you will never be the first at something because you can only do it if someone else went that same path as you did. So that's restrictive in a way that I don't think any of us should be restricted. So my role model was all of these bits and pieces. But my parents had very deep moral code. They were active in the civil rights movement in the day, again, the 1960s, early 70s. So I was anchored in with a social conscience because of them. So they were my social conscience role model. So now you staple all this together, and so my role model was assembled a la carte. And so if I serve that role for other people as an intellectual role model, the way I would like it to be thought is that you can be intellectual about anything, but still have fun, still smile, still, a lot of people, why do we have this stereotype of the ivory tower, the intellectual? It's because they don't really care about you. They just care about their own world. But I care a lot about people, about civilization, and the role that science and scientific discovery and investments in science plays in our health, our wealth, our security. And Carl Sagan used to say, when you're in love, you want to tell the world. Mm-hmm. And so here I am with this urge to tell everyone about the universe, serving as their conduit to the cosmos. And I have to conclude, I'm in love with the universe because I want to tell the world.
Well, as a part of that, you have written dozens of books. And I want to point...
Well, almost dozens. It's 17 books.
Well, a dozen and a half.
Dozen and a half.
Okay. I want to point out, this is one of your first books that has been updated, upgraded.
In fact, it was my very first book.
And it's the one I used. I was a nerd teenager, and then I was a teacher.
You were a girl nerd.
Yeah, I was a girl.
Girl nerds are precious things.
I did not fit in anywhere.
That's what I'm saying.
The boys launched rockets. I was a girl. No, you can't launch rockets with us. No, you can't.
To be a girl nerd at a time when that was outlawed, you needed.
That was rough.
Yeah.
But I loved the book, and now it's upgraded to share with teachers that this Merlin. Look at that. That's a beautiful cover.
Yeah.
Merlin travels the universe, meeting interesting people, teaching you about black holes and so forth and so on. If you could sit here at this coffee table and...
Hot chocolate table.
and talk to anyone, living or deceased, other than Junebug, who would that be?
Excellent question. So in this book, which is my first book, it's compiled from a column that I wrote at the time called Merlin's, which is Merlin. It was a column. People would write in with questions. And everyone would just play along. Merlin was a character that I developed, and Merlin has lived for all of time. So Merlin was friends with like Leonardo da Vinci and Isaac Newton and Marie Curie. And so if you had a question about any subject, Merlin would say, Merlin chatted with Isaac Newton, chatted with Leonardo da Vinci in a piazza in Florence, and we chatted on that very subject, and here's the answer. So for me, because I'm a scientist and I write nonfiction, to be able to celebrate this fictionalized character, Merlin, it's not the Arthurian Merlin. There's more than one Joe in the world. This is another Merlin, born in another galaxy. There's a whole biography of Merlin in here. The point is, Merlin is your guide to understand the universe. And so that connected me with historical figures so that if I'm going to invoke them to give an answer, I want to be true to how they would have spoken. What words were circulating in their day? What is in their writings and what is their writing style? And let me put it in their response style to me. So I wanted to rise to that occasion.
That's a lot of work.
Thank you for notice. That was a lot of work, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. And so that put me in a situation where I was, let me just give a quick example. In my conversation with Leonardo, Merlin speaks only in third person. So Merlin says, Merlin recalls a conversation at a coffee house in a piazza in a plaza in Florence. And We were slurping minestrone soup while he was sharing this answer. And you say, okay, come on, Tyson, that's pushing it. Minestrone soup, we know it's Italian. Turns out, it is rumored, if you look at the history books, that that's one of his favorite soups. So I went there. Yeah,
Oh,
I
my
put it in the answer. Even, and I'm not saying, I heard this is your favorite soup. It's just in there. So there's a lot of layering of authentic storytelling in it. So I thought so hard and long about who I would want to have dinner with, and it would definitely be Isaac Newton.
Oh,
However, recently I changed my mind. Recently. Can I tell you why?
well, you already know about the apple falling, so now what?
Yeah. So because Isaac Newton, I think he was the most brilliant human being ever on Earth. And if you don't think so or don't know so, I can just say three things about him. Okay? He discovered the laws of optics. Okay? Light and spectrum and this. Okay? Those laws. He discovered the laws of gravity. He discovered the laws of motion. And practically on a dare, he invents integral and differential calculus just to help solve some of these other problems he was thinking about. Then he turned 26.
Oh my gosh.
Are we done here with Isaac Newton? Is he not okay? The people who slog over calculus just trying to learn it, and he's just I need more math. There's not enough math in the world, says no one ever. Okay, so then I thought, let me bring him into the present and have dinner with him, and we'd be looking out the window, and he'll say, "Well, what's that out there?" And I say, "Oh," and I try to be relevant to him, and I say, "Oh, we call those cars, but those are horse-drawn carriages, but without the horses." Okay? They say, "Well, how does it move?" I say, "Oh, it uses an engine." What's an engine?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it converts chemical energy into kinetic energy. Where do you get the chemical energy? Oh, from oil. What's oil? Oh, well, it's fossil fuels. What are fossils? Then I'm there, and I'd be, it's like, okay, Isaac, go back. And then the reason why I decided I don't want this to happen is because I realized what his first question would be to me. And I said, we're done here. Okay. You know what his first question would be? It would be, who owns you? He's from 17th century England, okay?
Okay.
All right.
What planet are you from?
Yeah, who owns me? I have dark skin. Why would he think someone with dark skin would know any physics at all, much less his entire life? And that would just be a weird conversation. So it occurred to me it'd be much more potent if I went back to his day. And that way I can just probe what he was up to. And that, so yes, but it would still be Isaac Newton, but I'm not bringing him into the present. That would be a disaster.
So is there another person that you would want to bring in?
I would say Joan of Arc.
Really?
Yeah. I've read much more about her case, and it's just the bravery that involved, and the conviction, the sacrifice, to stand up to an entire tribunal that convicts you and sentences you to death by burning while still upholding your principles. And of course, the Catholic Church would much later, beatify her. I mean, she became a saint, in spite of at the time where she is committing the worst crimes, committing capital punishment worthy crimes at the time. Yeah. And by all measures, if you read the court case, a big part of their argument against her was that she was cross-dressing. I know, it sounds completely crazy. Go read the transcripts of the court case. Yeah. Okay? Now, if you're going to lead soldiers into battle, you can't do it wearing a skirt. Okay? You're going to wear pants. You're going to be astride the horse, and you're going to ride into... So it says it very clear in the Bible, man shall not wear the clothes of a woman, nor it's in Leviticus. So they just went to that spot, threw it at her, as well as everything else that they they compiled. And so I'm just saying, I want to be that brave one day. And because I have an active disinterest in genealogy. I don't make a big deal of it because I know so many people want to know who their great grand uncle, where they came from, what country. I have an active disinterest because anytime I see, and I'm not trying to convince other people of this, it's just a very personal fact. I'm actively disinterested because when I see other people do it, they track their genealogy to a point that they are most proud of, and then they tell that to other people. Oh, I'm traceable to this Charlemagne, or I'm this, or I have, and oh, mine was a nobleman. And I said, yes, so like, what do you want me to do about that? Do you want me to think more highly of you because one of your ancestors had this title? No, I want you to earn whatever it is that you want me to think about you.
Yeah.
So for me, I take it one step further and I say, oh, and another example, someone said, that she learned that her great uncle was a cobbler and made shoes. And then upon hearing this, she said, that must be why I like shoes. It was like, no, stop it. Just stop. Okay. So instead I say to myself, I am human. Every other human before me is human. If I want to ask what I want to become in life, how I want to be, I draw from the entire population of humanity and say, look what they accomplished. Look how brave they were. Look how strong they were. And I say, that's what I want for myself. And I know I can achieve it because I am human just as they are. So I draw from the entire species when I want to know what kind of inspiration I need, not just the lineage of what the 3 generations before me. That's so restricting when you think about it.
Well, not everyone can do that, Neil.
What can do what?
Draw from the entire
Oh, well, all right.
Not all of us can do that.
I get that. I'm not 7 feet tall, so I'm not going to the NBA. Yes, there's certain limitations. I get it. But other things that you can develop within you. Like I said, with Joan of Arc, I want to at least you can aspire to those goals. Without aspiration towards goals in the world, why else be alive at all? Yeah. Just move back to the cave.
There you go. No, thanks.
No, you don't want the cave. Neither do I.
Okay, I want to ask you a question I'm dying to know the answer for.
Okay, am my answers too long? Because you got a lot. Look at all these questions you got here.
No, they're short.
Okay.
Advances in artificial intelligence for society, for space exploration, and so forth. Could it ever run wild like in the movie The Terminator?
So, I mean, I don't mean to laugh at that.
We're all afraid, and we know you know the answer.
Was going to end. I'm a little bit unorthodox here. I've been programming computers since I was 15, so computing and me and my profession are conjoined in a fundamental way. Any advances in computing, in automation, in AI, as they came online, we immediately exploited them. Immediately. We were early out of the box with neural nets. By the way, the people who advanced the idea of neural net just got the Nobel Prize in Physics for that.
Good.
So just a tip of hat to them. So that's what started the idea that a computer can be made to make decisions that it can even learn from. And that's the early signs of AI. And my sense of the future of AI is that, no, we're not going to make the all-purpose robot. Like, why? Why would you even want to do that? There are things that I want done, and I want done well. Give me the AI task that's specifically tuned for that. If you remember the Jetsons, by the way, I think they've done some triangulation on George Jetson's age, and I think they figured out he was born in the year 2020.
Okay.
Well, 2020 or 2022, just around there, these COVID years, he was born, George Jetson. All right, so of course they have flying cars. But what they didn't realize is and who were the robots? There was like the robot maid. I forgot her
Yes.
name. Everybody, Rosie, of course. Rosie the maid. And what they weren't imagining is that maybe the robot is just a machine. Maybe it's not a humanoid. Maybe it's just a thing that does a thing. So when he gets into his car, he's still controlling the car. Maybe the car is a robot. And you say, car, I want to go there. And it takes you there and you go sit in the back with your family. They could not foresee that.
No.
So if my car becomes a robot, an artificially intelligent robot, I don't need the car to make my morning coffee. I don't need the car to play chess. I don't need it to do other. Give me something else that'll do that. So I think that the future of AI will be a very distributed community of AI applied efforts, and not the single all-powerful, all-knowing robot.
You promise.
No, I'm not promising. I'm just saying. And so I just think that's what it's not going to be a humanoid. Human form is not even the best way to do anything. Okay, which we're stuck with after evolution. So I am fearless of AI, and I welcome its presence.
Okay.
And people started freaking out when AI. By the way, AI beat us in chess decades ago. Decades ago. Did people freak out? Did people lose their mind? No, they said, oh, it's coming along nicely. Beat us. It's our game. We invented it. It beat us at it. Okay? Oh, then it beat us at Jeopardy. Oh my gosh. That uses you have to context and pop culture, and you got fast access to the internet. It wiped the floor with the best Jeopardy player there ever was. Did anyone freak out? No. You know when they freaked out? When AI composed your term paper. AI can write for you. And all of a sudden, people who make a living doing creative things started freaking out. And that's when you started seeing headlines. AI is the end of whatever. We were those same people when robots started building cars in Detroit, displacing auto workers. You know, where were they? Well, that's natural. That's a natural part of the industrial evolution. Pick up another profession. So what's going to happen, mapping that prior scenario into the future, is you're going to have to think twice about what it is you're doing that you're calling creative. Think about it. When you tell AI, you know what you're doing. You say, AI, draw me this scene in the style of Van Gogh. And it will do a perfect job at that, okay? Compose a sonnet in the style of Shakespeare, okay? Well, what is it doing? It's combing the total intellectual capital of what it is to be human that is stored on the internet. That's what it's doing, and drawing from that. But if instead I asked AI, draw me this scene in the style of no one who has yet to be born. Did I say that sentence right? Draw this in the style of no one who has ever existed. Do you think what's going to come back is good? No. No, we're the creative. It's only creative because we're creative. It's getting it from us. In my books, my 17 books, I looked at the numbers. That forms a non-zero fraction of the resources that AI is drawing from to give an answer if you ask a question on the internet. Because all of my books are nonfiction, so it's real content. Real as in it's objectively real research content. And so it only knows it because I know it. I was at a dinner, you didn't ask me this, but I'm gonna tell you. I was at a dinner party. The person sitting next to me who works in this space says, Neil, tell me about aliens. What are your thoughts on it? So I started answering him. And I see him he's on his smartphone. I said, well, he's not listening to me. I said, what are you doing? He said, oh, I'm comparing what AI would say that you would say to that very question.
Oh, fascinating.
Yes, yes. And so there it was, sentence for sentence. AI had seen me say this or heard me say it on previous interviews, and it did a pretty good job. But if I have a thought that's never been expressed before, AI cannot know it and attribute it to me because it hasn't It hasn't been generated yet. So for me, that puts a greater force on the creativity of humans to be more creative than anybody has been before. And leave AI to write the instruction manual. Leave it to write anything that no one has ever signed proudly. Have you ever seen an instruction manual signed by Johnny Jones, right? No. Let AI do it. Let AI do anything. Let AI design the wallpaper. Let AI, but if you want to do something truly creative, leave AI at home.
Okay.
This is where I'm. And also, let's say you study animals of the ocean, fishes of the ocean, and you go down to the shore and you discover a new shell.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever documented this before. You say, wow. And then you take it home. AI cannot possibly know about this because no one has seen it before or written about it.
Yeah.
You alone know about this shell. And now you go knock on your friend's door and then you gather a little conference and then you can write papers on it, but don't put it on the internet because then AI will steal it from you. And you can create a whole body of knowledge outside of AI just by creating things and not putting it on the internet. That'd be an interesting sort of underground movement to if people freak out from it. But anyway, no, I'm not worried about Terminator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well
That's what started this. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel better. So, speaking of the man with all this energy and wisdom, black holes, we know about black holes, they swallow up the stars.
You try to avoid them. Yeah.
Where does a black hole get its energy?
So gravity, if you think of gravity in an Einsteinian way rather than a Newtonian way, gravity, according to Einstein, is the curvature of space and time.
Right.
And where you have a concentration of matter and energy, the curvature of space-time warps towards it. So if you're just sort of wandering around, you'll feel yourself falling in because you're just following the fabric of space-time. Well, as you fall in, while sitting out there, you have a certain amount of energy relative to where the black hole is. It's called gravitational potential energy. Okay? Potential energy is an interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Gasoline is just sitting there doing nothing. It has extraordinary potential energy, chemical potential. It can blow up this in the right conditions, okay? So you can store energy, interestingly, in this way. Odd that it's not a weird concept with regard to batteries. Batteries store energy, right? So you're out here. As you fall towards the black hole, your speed increases. Mm-hmm. So your potential energy becomes kinetic energy. And so you say, where does it get its energy? Well, it is swallowing up anything that is in the slopes of the space-time continuum. And there you have it. It's sucking it out of the environment. Let's put it that way. There's an old saying, there's no such thing as gravity, Earth sucks. It's an old joke. Right, okay.
Okay. 2032, they say an asteroid's heading for Earth.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? You think he'll make it?
Yeah, it'll come very close to us, but the latest evidence shows that it'll come like twice, 1.5 times the Earth-Moon distance, so it's not going to harm us. But for a while there, the risk was high because we didn't have much of its orbit to calculate with. We only just discovered the thing in December. So the baseline of the calculation was very narrow. As time accumulates and you get better and better data, you can tighten the uncertainty in whether or not it'll hit. And by the way, that's just a shot across our bow. Yeah. There's plenty more of those where that came from. And we're going to learn more and more about it as our telescopes get better.
Yes.
And you're going to think that oh my gosh, why are we all of a sudden in a shooting gallery? We've always been in a shooting gallery. You just know about it now.
So any potential discoveries with all this fancy James Webb Space Telescope?
Yeah, we'd love some telescopes. There's a new telescope coming online called the Vera Rubin telescope, which will basically repeatedly image the sky every night.
Yeah.
Now, why would you want to do that? Well, if I only go to the telescope once and then come home, I have my data. Is this changing?
Yeah.
How would I know? Because I only have one snapshot of it. If you're taking images constantly, you're basically creating a movie of the night sky. You sit there, and we have AI doing all this analysis. There's no way a human being could do this. It finds things that move, and then makes assessments about its orbits, this sort of things. And there's an alert system that says follow up on this because this might be dangerous. That telescope, we hope, might complete the catalog of Earth-crossing asteroids that hold life on Earth at risk. And so watch that space. It was very important. Oh, by the way, what's a little annoying, a lot annoying, is there are many satellites getting launched for communications purposes, and these are lights moving across the sky. This telescope will find these, and it's going to need a way to sort between that and a killer asteroid. And I hope it's never confused between the two. Wow. Because the more, it creates what we say in the data world, a noisy background of moving objects. If you have a noisy background and there's something real, it could prevent you from extracting from the data that which is real. So we're a little worried about that, but we're trying to mitigate it. We're in conversation. We have people who are in conversation with satellite manufacturers to reduce their reflectivity. Plus the military took interest. So wait a minute, if you're going to track all these, that means you can track our spy satellites. So what are we going to do about that? So we have to come to an agreement with the data that, like, the military get a first look at it and then give it to the rest of us.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're a good friend of the military. And we are here as well.
Oh, of course.
Because,
yes.
Because of the Medal of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us your greatest challenge or reward for all of this learning that you share. You built a road to teachers and enthusiasts and what have you. What was your biggest reward or your worst challenge?
Let me start with the biggest challenge.
Okay.
The biggest challenge is, and I got in trouble for posting this once. Okay. I got in trouble with teachers. I don't regret the post, but maybe I should have left it in my forbidden Twitter file in retrospect. But what I said was, and I couched it, I said, some teachers say of some students, I put in the some, but it didn't matter. Some teachers say of some students that they just don't want to learn. Uh-huh. When perhaps they should instead be saying, maybe I suck at my job. Okay? Some teachers lost their mind over that tweet.
Oh.
Okay? And there was like an attack formation. Mm-hmm. There it was. And people said, well, how would you know? Have you ever taught? Well, they didn't look at my resume.
No.
It's like, duh. All right, what do you think? What kind of life do you think I've had here? All right. So, point is, and I learned a little bit of this from my father, who taught sociology. I'll be saying the obvious, but it's worth repeating. Every person has a key that might even be unique to that person, that it's your obligation as an educator to unlock. And that is a key of curiosity and a key of, you want to know what people's receptors are for learning. And if you don't care about it, and a person doesn't learn something from you, don't blame the person. It's not the person's fault. You're the educator. Figure it out. The kid is not going to figure it out. They're just a kid. So learn something about their lives, about what amuses them, what interests them. So I spend I spend a large fraction of my life thinking about how other people think. And so that's the biggest challenge. Because not everybody has the same key. And again, if you're only producing one product, a show or a podcast or one interview, how do you hit all of the high points there? How do you unlock all the boxes of people's curiosity? That is the greatest challenge that I continue to aspire to. Because that's the difference between facing a chalkboard, whatever boards are made of today, and giving a lecture, facing the chalkboard, having people, forcing them to meet you 90% of the way. Well, you know they'll do it because they paid for the college course to take it. So they're going to have to put in that effort. Or you turn around and go 90% of the way to your audience. And for me, that's the difference between a uh, uh, being just a professor and being a communicator.
Yeah.
There are different priorities there. So for me, that's my biggest challenge. My greatest reward, it's a little weird because I don't think of myself as old as I currently am. But when a full-grown adult comes up to me and says, "Oh, are you Neil Tyson?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, when my father was a kid, he loved your work." It's like, how old are you? What do you mean when your father? How? What? So I think I resonate with all teachers. I'm certain when I say, when someone comes up to you and said you made a difference in their life,
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
all the challenges go away. They evaporate. And that all of the pain and suffering that you went through as a teacher, just because it's so thankless, but by what you're paid, by what people say, my occasional tweet, it's so thankless. Just someone to come up and just remember you. As simple as that is, I think there's no greater reward.
Well said. Well said. And that's so true. I've had real mischievous students that wanted me to get in trouble, and I asked why. Well, because everybody liked you, and I just didn't want to like you. So this guy,
That's interesting to know that such a person as that
this
exists.
guy called me up 20 years later to apologize. So that was tremendously rewarding.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my version of that was after I was implicated for the demotion of Pluto. I got all this
Yes.
hate mail from third graders. I have a letter from someone who's 24. He said, "Dear Dr. Tyson, when I was in fourth grade, I was angry that you demoted Pluto, and I wrote you a letter and called you a poo-poo head. And I want to apologize."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, he took the time to do that. That was so touching. And it's not that I was like saddened by the accusation of being a poo-poo head, because I found that highly entertaining. But you're right. I think it's any teacher's greatest reward.
Okay.
Plus a raise would also be a good reward.
A raise. Hey, where's my salary? I mean, they keep talking about check. There's my okay. Last question. Of all the questions you're ever asked, is there one that you wished people would ask that they don't?
So I have an unorthodox reply to that. And the answer is no.
You get them all.
No, it's a little more blunt than that. I am a servant. I see myself as a servant of your curiosity.
Ah,
And in that capacity, I'm not here to just tell you what you think you should be asking me. I want to respond to you and your curiosity and what interests you. So I'm making you the center of that inquiry rather than me. So no, there is no question that I wish someone would ask me, because I'm not the subject here. You are.
Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, thank you for being with us on Coffee with June today and hot chocolate.
Coffee and hot chocolate
Thank
with
you
June.
for being with us here at the Medal of Honor in Chattanooga. I have other questions, but tonight I will be at the Memorial Auditorium.
You're coming. I'm giving a public talk tonight. You're going to be there.
Of course I'll be there.
Excellent. It's on cosmic collisions.
And I know.
All the things that go bump in the night. Yes, we're talking about colliding black holes. Yeah, colliding particles, colliding galaxies.
Yeah, they're all so far apart. They're not going to collide. No.
Ah!
That's my take on it.
Yeah, okay. I'll check with the universe. Will obey you. We'll find out. Okay.
Okay, so I want to thank some people.
Please.
I want to thank all of the folks, the administration here, the board of directors that asked me to have Coffee with June podcast. I want to thank them all. I thank them for organizing this, and especially David Curry, who is our president, but who is also the sponsor and publisher, printer, whatever. Many, many things.
Man about the town.
I want to thank Cliff for helping us get together and organize.
Actually, Cliff he organizes my life to make sure that I'm where I need to be when I'm supposed to be there.
Was very helpful. All I said is a few things about how important it would be. I want to thank Shelby over here, our barista here at the coffee shop, and her buddies, Hannah and Ava, and Christy and Jack and Emily and Dexter and Elena and Andrew and Eric and adults, Tim and Tom, who also gave me some questions. So I will say some of these questions for later tonight.
Oh, okay. There's more. I'm not done with you here. That's what you're saying. More June to come.
Well, I know all of these people have questions, so everybody has a question for you. Thank you so much, Dr. Tyson, for being here with us.
All right. Thank you. Oh, I want to do one last plug for one of my books.
Okay.
If I may.
Oh, there's another one.
No, that's not one of those. Just given where we are here in this memorial, one of my books is titled Accessory to War, The Unspoken Alliance Between Astrophysics and the Military. It's a history book. It's like 600 pages. This one is Astrophysics for People in a Hurry.
Yeah.
That one is if you're not in a hurry, okay? I only say that because my field has worked very closely with the military ever since my field has existed. And when Galileo perfected the telescope, he knew immediately what value it would have to national security. So he was in Venice. He called the Doge of Venice. They went up to the clock tower. He demonstrated his telescope, and he showed that you can identify the flag of a ship in the lagoon 10 times farther away, whether it was friend or foe. And immediately the military bought like some number of these telescopes. And then he had money so that he can now just look at the universe with his telescopes. So that's sort of the earliest of this effort. But it's been a significant, it's not quite a partnership in the way you would normally think of the word. It's been a two-way street between the discoveries of astrophysicists and the needs of the military going forward. So that's just a plug for, it's a cheap plug, isn't it? That was kind of cheap.
Here at the
plug.
Medal of Honor, we have lots of books, a lot of military books, a lot of just Junebug books. This is one of them. I've written half a dozen compared to your 1.5 dozen, but this is one of them. I'd like to present to you. Oh, let's show it.
Oh, well, thank you. Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So this is your book? Excellent.
Yes.
This is for me?
Yes, I'm giving it to you. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. But you didn't sign, she didn't sign the book.
I will. I will, because you're.
I don't want it until you signed it. What do you think of that?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, delightful. Thank you, June.
Thank you very much. Thank you.